progress.
I got you. I got you and one.
Tom Ludlow doesn't start his mornings with coffee. He starts them with a loaded weapon and a wave of nausea. He's an undercover operative for the Los Angeles Police Department who spends his nights navigating the city's worst underbelly, posing as an illegal arms trader. On this particular night, his routine takes him from a convenience store, where he downs alcohol behind the wheel, straight into a high-stakes meeting with two ruthless Korean gang members. Tom isn't actually trying to close a sale. Instead, he taunts the buyers, insulting them until their tempers explode. They beat him, hijack his vehicle, and drive off with the heavy weaponry inside. It looks like a disastrous failure, but it's a calculated trap. The vehicle carries a hidden tracker. As soon as they take off, Tom makes a call, locks onto their coordinates, and tracks them to their hideout. Dressing in tactical gear, Tom launches a solo assault on the compound. He clears the house with lethal precision. Once the threat is eliminated, he downs another drink, dons a glove, and stages the scene to look like a desperate shootout where he had no choice but to use deadly force. His real reward comes moments later, opening a hidden cabinet to rescue two young kidnapped children. When backup and the media flood the street, Tom doesn't get a hero's welcome from his peers. Resentment brews among the ranks, with fellow officers mocking his methods and envying the recognition he's about to get. The hostile mood is broken by Captain Jack Wander, the head of the unit. Publicly, Wander delivers a polished speech to the cameras, reassuring the city. Privately, he pulls Tom aside, ignoring the alcohol on his breath and praising his violent efficiency. For years, Wander has acted as Tom's shield, using him for the dirtiest off-the-books operations, because Tom gets results without letting red tape get in the way. Before the district attorney arrives, Wander orders Tom to slip away. On his way out, Tom runs into Terrence Washington, his former partner. Their relationship has deteriorated badly. Washington can no longer tolerate Tom's lawless tactics or the way Wander covers for him. He warns Tom that his luck is running out and that the fallout from his latest stunt will hit harder than he thinks. While recovering from a gunshot wound at the hospital, Tom is approached by an unfamiliar man watching the news coverage of the raid. The stranger presses Tom for details on how he pulled off the assault. Tom keeps quiet. He knows this isn't a fan. It's Captain Biggs from Internal Affairs, a veteran investigator who has been building a file on Tom's long trail of lethal encounters. The tension eases when his doctor enters to check on his recovery. Beneath her professional exterior, she's Tom's girlfriend, Grace. She jokes about his frequent injuries, offering him a rare moment of peace in an otherwise chaotic life. 2 days later, the department throws a celebration dinner. Captain Wander has just secured a major promotion to commander, a move made possible by the publicity surrounding Tom's recent rescue operation. But the high spirits don't last. Tom pulls Wander aside to ask about the internal affairs pressure he felt at the hospital. Wander drops a bomb. Washington is the informant. He filed an official report with Internal Affairs accusing Tom of excessive force and execution-style tactics. Furious, Tom spots Washington across the room and moves to confront him. Wander restrains him, ordering him to fall in line, but Tom's anger takes over. He decides to tail Washington after the party. Tom follows Washington to a small convenience store. He gets out to confront his former partner, but before he can enter, two masked armed assailants rush the building. Tom yells a warning, but the situation instantly degrades into a chaotic firefight. Tom draws his weapon and fires back, trying to suppress the attackers. In the crossfire, one of Tom's stray rounds accidentally strikes Washington in the shoulder. Seconds later, the masked gunmen step up and execute Washington at point-blank range before fleeing. When Wander arrives at the bloody crime scene, he takes control of the situation. He takes Tom to the back room to review the store's security camera footage. The reality is terrifying. If Internal Affairs sees this video, Tom will be charged with Washington's murder under the assumption that it was a revenge hit. Wander refuses to lose his best operative. He takes Tom's burner phone and begins systematically altering the crime scene. He arranges for the CCTV hard drive to vanish, alters Tom's weapon logs, and manufactures a clean story to present to the press. That night, a guilt-ridden Tom breaks down in front of Grace. Despite their fallout, he deeply respected Washington. He vows to uncover who sent the hitmen, unaware of the quicksand he is stepping into. By morning, the media presents a completely rewritten narrative. Tom is hailed as the brave officer who discovered his partner's body while chasing down violent robbers. To keep Internal Affairs from digging further, Wander temporarily reassigns Tom to a desk job in the complaints division. Tom passes the days dealing with disgruntled citizens, entirely indifferent to the routine paperwork. Captain Biggs isn't fooled by the official report. He corners Tom, inviting him to a subtle interrogation over lunch. Biggs reveals a crucial detail that ballistics uncovered. 4 rounds were fired at the scene. One of those rounds came from a weapon that doesn't match the robber's guns. He knows a third shooter was present and urges Tom to confess before the cover-up collapses. Before Biggs can push further, Wander steps in and aggressively shuts the investigation down. He pulls out personal leverage, threatening to expose Biggs's private scandals involving escorts if he continues probing their unit. The next afternoon, the department gathers for Washington's funeral. When Tom tries to express his condolences to Washington's widow, Linda, she shuts him down cold. It's clear she believes Tom and his unit were involved in her husband's death. Driven to find answers, Tom approaches Detective Discount, the lead officer assigned to the homicide investigation. Discount is young, rigid, and trying to handle the case by the book. He warns Tom to back off, hinting that higher-ups have already arranged a deal. The shooters will be dealt with silently, and Tom will get a free pass. Tom refuses to let it drop. Using his own street network, he identifies the primary suspects, 2 career criminals named Fremont and Coates. Their records show multiple past arrests, but strangely, Washington had personally stepped in to have them released on procedural errors in the past. When Tom presses Wander for permission to track the pair down off the record, Wander denies the request, warning him that Biggs is waiting for them to make one wrong move. The investigation takes a darker turn when Discount approaches Tom with a new piece of evidence. A search of Washington's personal vehicle turned up $50,000 in cash, money traced back to seized narcotics inventory. Discount suggests Washington was a dirty cop who fell out with drug traffickers. Unwilling to accept that his former partner was corrupt, Tom agrees to team up with Discount to track down the truth themselves. Tom and Discount hit the streets, chasing down low-level distributors until they corner a mid-tier dealer named Grill. After a rough interrogation, Tom forces Grill to act as an informant inside the county facility to identify who supplied Fremont and Coates with their high-grade narcotics. While waiting for Grill's update, Tom visits Washington's widow to ask about the $50,000 found in the car. Linda shatters the dirty cop narrative. The cash came from the sale of their home. She explains that Washington was planning to flee the city because he had received explicit death threats from inside his own department after reporting a high-ranking officer to Internal Affairs. Shortly after, Grill calls with a name, a high-level distributor known as Scribble. Tom and Discount locate Scribble on the highway and force his vehicle off the road. Under intense pressure, Scribble cracks. He insists he never worked directly with Fremont and Coates, but he gives them a key location, an abandoned hillside property where he once met the duo. When Tom and Discount enter the structure, they find dried blood trails covering the floorboards. Following the path into the backyard, they dig up a shallow grave containing 2 decaying bodies. The forensic markers match Fremont and Coates. They have been dead for weeks, meaning they couldn't possibly have been the men who shot Washington at the convenience store. Someone executed the real gang members, stole their identities, and planted their DNA at the crime scene to frame them for Washington's murder. Tom forces Scribble to set up a buy with the imposters using their old contact numbers. Before going to the meet, Tom stops by Linda's house to hand over a copy of the original, unedited convenience store security tape, wanting her to know the truth about how her husband died. Armed with heavy tactical gear, Tom and Discount prepare for the meeting at a secluded apartment complex. Discount hesitates, realizing this isn't a bust. Tom intends to eliminate everyone involved. They step into the room and are immediately surrounded by heavily armed hitmen. The 2 men posing as Fremont and Coates are actually professional mercenaries. They recognize Tom from the convenience store setup. Before Discount can react, the hitmen execute Scribble for bringing the police. Tom shoots out the main light source, dropping the room into pitch darkness. Using the shadows for cover, he engages in a point-blank firefight, taking down the mercenaries one by one. When the lights come back on, the threat is neutralized, but Discount has suffered a fatal gunshot wound. With no legal way to explain the unauthorized operation, Tom is forced to leave his partner's body behind and slip away into the night. When Tom reaches his house, Grace is watching a breaking news report. The news reveals the true identity of the 2 men Tom just killed. They were undercover police officers working within a specialized unit. Before Tom can process the revelation, a squad of officers led by Wander's inner circle arrives at his house. They disarm him, throw him into the back of a cruiser, and drive him out toward the canyon. As they drive, the officers mock him. They reveal that Washington never filed a report against Tom. That story was fabricated by Wander to trick Tom into hating Washington. Washington was actually preparing to turn over evidence, exposing Captain Wander as the head of an elite, department-wide crime syndicate. Wander ordered the hit on Washington to protect his empire, and he used Tom's loyalty to clean up the mess. The cruiser stops near the same abandoned house where the real Fremont and Coates were buried. Believing Tom is broken, the two officers pull him from the car to execute him. Having secretly picked his handcuffs during the drive, Tom explodes into action. He grabs an axe leaning against the exterior structure, neutralizes the first officer, and uses his sidearm to eliminate the second. Injured and bleeding, Tom learns that another one of Wander's enforcers, Mike, has gone to Linda's house to retrieve the security footage Tom left behind. Tom arrives just as Mike turns violent with Linda. Tom steps in, subdues Mike, secures the tape, and tells Linda to leave the city immediately. At dawn, Tom drives straight to Captain Wander's home. Wander, unaware that his enforcement team has been wiped out, welcomes Tom inside, assuming he's come for help to fix the situation. Tom pulls out Mike's phone and lays out the entire network. The hits, the planted evidence, the fake identities, and the betrayal of Washington. Wander's composure fractures. He tries to appeal to their history, claiming that everything he did was to protect his crew and maintain control over the city. When persuasion fails, Wander attacks. The two fight through the room until Tom overpowers his commander. Desperate to save his life, Wander breaks open a drywall section in his office, revealing a massive hidden vault. Inside are millions in laundered cash, seized narcotics, stolen jewelry, and blackmail files on every major politician, judge, and police official in Los Angeles. Wander offers to share the empire, insisting that this hidden power is how the city is actually run. Tom looks at the wall of stolen cash, realizing how many officers and civilians died just to build Wander's personal fortress. Ignoring Wander's pleas that they are family, Tom raises his weapon and fires, ending Wander's reign. Moments later, sirens echo outside as Captain Biggs and internal affairs units surround the property. Biggs enters the house and views the exposed vault in Wander's body. Biggs reveals that internal affairs had known about Wander's shadow organization for years, but Wander was too powerful to touch through legal channels. It took an insider who didn't care about the rules to finally tear the system down. As additional units secure the scene, Tom walks out into the morning sun, leaving the department behind.